Hello my friends, and welcome back to Adventures of Deanna. I'm Deanna and I'm on an adventure to lose over 100 pounds, and we're going to talk about how my past week went. Grab yourself a cup of water, settle in, because I got a little bit to talk about today. Before we get into the whole week, let's take a look at a few clips that I have from this week.
Oh, my socks are getting wet. My feet are getting wet. Okay. Some sidewalks look like that and they're clean, and other sidewalks look like this and they're covered in ice. That hill leading up to the park right there is covered in ice. This road is covered in ice. It's supposed to be 45 today, so I hope that it warms up a little bit for tomorrow's walk. Happy Tuesday! It's Tuesday, yay! And the weather was so warm yesterday, most of the snow melted off, so I get to have a much safer walk this morning. I'm so happy to be out walking the dog again. I so prefer to do my little morning walk, and it just feels good to be outside, and it's like almost, the sun is almost up, and it's early, it's 6:30, so this is nice. I love it. Oh, almost spring, almost spring, almost spring. So are you getting outside? Let me know down in the comments below. I love this. It's so pretty. Decorations for Mardi Gras that's over, but I didn't see them because it was too cold to walk. Oh, I love them. Oh, I love this fence.
Not the end of the world. It's Friday, so it's time for another weigh-in. Last week I weighed in at 210.2, and this week I stepped on the scale and said, oh hell no, because it said 212.2, so I gained 2 pounds this week. Don't forget to click subscribe to follow me on my adventure to lose over 100 pounds. Come back to my channel on Monday so that we can talk about what I can learn from this and what is this trying to tell me. If you're enjoying this content so far, please go ahead and click that like button. Give you a second to do it. Before we get into what can I learn from this, let's talk about a non-scale victory. So in that clip that you just saw from my short that I posted on Friday, that shirt is a shirt that has been in a bin labeled shirts that are too small for a long time, and I decided, I was really feeling some changes in my body, and I decided that I wanted to give it a try and see how it looked, and it fit, and I was so excited, so happy. It's one of my favorite all-time shirts. It's ancient old, but I absolutely love it. I'm a sucker for sparkles. What can I say? So huge, 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 huge non-scale victory. Now, what can I learn from this past week of gaining 2 pounds? First and foremost is that I still am practicing working on my emotional eating. When my cruise got canceled, I was devastated. I knew that it was probably going to happen. I knew the likelihood was great that it was going to happen. I had tried to prepare myself mentally for when it did happen, and it got the better of me. It got the better of me. Let me just say that. I wouldn't say it was, drastic and terrible, but it's still something that I'm working on and something that I want to get better at. It's something that I don't want to always turn to food whenever I have something that is, upsetting like that. I want to be more resilient. My, word for 2021. I do pretty good with emotional eating whenever it's regular day-to-day stress, work stress, family stress, things like that, with good feelings, but this just I didn't handle it as well as I would like to. And it's something that I can work on. It's something, like I said, it's a practice. It's not something that I just decide, hey, I'm not going to emotionally eat anymore and poof, it goes away. No, it's a practice. So I'm going to keep working on it. So what else can I learn from this? So let's look at the data. So I have a whole bunch of stuff here. So let's look at the data. So I have my habit tracker, and I'll throw that up on the screen so you guys can actually see it. But my habit tracker tracks my healthy behaviors. Since I don't count calories, I track my healthy behaviors. So did I make a 24-hour plan? That's just the foods that I plan on eating that day. Did I follow my 24-hour plan? Did I assess it the day after to see, how well did I follow it? Drink at least 64 ounces of water, 7 hours of sleep. Did I eat whenever I was hungry and stop whenever I was satisfied? And did I do workouts or self-development? So my habit tracker for this month, it says that I did 90%. That's what it says. It says 90%. Well, I know from past months, from, doing this for a long time now, that if I got a 90%, I should have seen a weight loss for the month. My weight loss for the month of February, I weighed in at 211.2 at the beginning, and February the 28th, the last day of the month, I weighed in at 211.2. So it was kind of a whole wash for the entire month. 90% on that habit tracker is not a true result. So I must have been lying to myself. I believe that I have somehow become complacent, and I'm just going through the motions, filling things in, not really being true and honest with myself. And with a lot of other diets, we can kind of become complacent with what we're doing. Maybe we're not weighing and measuring our food like we used to. Maybe our intermittent fasting window has grown a little bit. Maybe we're, not always eating when we're hungry and stopping when we're satisfied. Maybe if we're doing keto, we're not as strict as we used to be on that keto. There's a lot of different ways on all diets that we can in some way become complacent. Because I feel that I have become complacent, it's time for me to make a change in what it is that I'm doing. So I am switching it up, and I'm going from the no BS planner pages that I was using, and now I'm going to use a page from cats on my papers. Now I'm going to use a page from the Naturally Slim book, and I'll put that in there too so you can kind of see what it looks like. So this kind of tracks, did I hydrate whenever I woke up? So they encourage you to have at least 20 ounces of water whenever you first wake up to get yourself hydrated. So that way you're better capable to listen for your hunger scales, for your hunger levels. And then it wants you to track any time that you eat. Were you at level 3 hunger? Did you chew slowly? Did you stop whenever you were comfortably full? And how long that it took you to eat. So you track that anytime that you ate. You also track your recommended 60 ounces of water, what your physical activity was, what duration it was, how long was it, what kind of intensity was it, did you avoid sugar, how do you feel, and any feedback that you have for the day. And then I also added on to this that I want to continue with my practice of writing down my goals for the day and practicing the things that I'm grateful for the day. I really liked that part of my old journal, and I want to keep up with those because I feel that they're really, really beneficial to me. So for the month of March, I'm going to trade out my No BS planner for the Naturally Slim daily log. Hopefully that's going to show some better results for the month. Did you drink water when I drank water? As I mentioned earlier in the video, I was talking about how I was feeling changes in my body. And I know I don't share a lot of my measurements on the channel because I feel like month after month it's just, it doesn't matter why I don't share them, but I don't share them. I last measured myself on January 1st, and I didn't measure myself in February until today, the 28th, is the day that I'm filming this. But as I mentioned, I said I had felt some changes in my body. And so my measurements, and I'm going to put them up on the screen so you guys can see them, but I'm just going to run through them really quick. For my neck, I lost 1 inch. My stomach, I lost 2 inches. In my boobs, I lost 1.5 inches. In my hips, I lost 2.5 inches. In my thigh, I lost 1 inch, and in my calf, I lost 1/2 inch. I feel like so empowered and so happy and so grateful for these measurements this month because the month of February, you know, there was no weight loss. And granted, this was a 60-day measurements changes, but that feels really good and empowering and hopeful to me. Why are you messing with my papers? If you've been around my channel for a while now, you know that I focus a lot more on the mental side of weight loss, and I feel like it makes a huge impact on how we're doing. Our thoughts can control our actions. So, you know, there's a circumstance, that circumstance gives you a thought, that thought creates a feeling, the feeling then creates an action or a response. Here is a dramatic reenactment of some of the thoughts that I had for the month of February. They're struggling too. I guess it must be that whole Mercury is in retrograde thing. I hate winter. It's so miserable. I hate February. Can you just wake me up when it's over? So let's just take a minute to think about these thoughts. I can't wait for February to be over. When I think about that thought, I can't wait for February to be over, it feels kind of like mundane. So I'm kind of just going through the actions, I'm rushing through it, I'm not really present in the moment because I just want it to be over. I'm just rushing through it. So how is that going to benefit me if these are my thoughts that I'm having? I can't wait for February to be over. Another thought, I hate winter, it's so miserable. Again, how is this thought helpful to me? If I think winter is miserable, does that make me miserable? If I'm feeling miserable, how is that going to influence my actions? Could that thought have had anything to do with my weight loss this month? Let me know if you think that that thought could have hindered my weight loss at all this past month. Let me know in the comments below. And the other thought, other people are struggling. Maybe it's that whole Mercury and retrograde thing they're talking about. So this takes the blame off of me. Now I'm blaming the freaking universe for what I did or did not do. How is that helpful? How does that help me? This is all within my control. These are all my actions. I take full ownership for my lack of progress for the month of February. But it's these thoughts that I have. These thoughts, subconsciously, they're in there. They're giving my brain direction on how to act. This month has been a huge focus on self-love. And when we treat ourselves with love and with affection, we feel better about ourselves. And these thoughts about ourselves, they create action. We're more willing to take better care of ourselves. There are these other thoughts out there too that can also hinder our progress. Having said all that, what's done is done in the past. It's time to move forward. It's time to move forward for March, especially for me. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for March. And I've got some good thoughts that I'm going to practice moving into March. I am so excited to crush my goals. I'm really curious about what's going on. Let's be honest with ourselves this month. I'm going to do better this month. So these are some positive thoughts that I'm going to practice this month. Let me know in the comments if you have other positive thoughts that you think that I should be practicing this month. They're going to help me get to my goal. Speaking of goals, I did not make my 60-day goals. I had this wonderful push goal that I was going to get under 200 pounds by the end of February, and here I sit at 211.2. So it's time to make a new goal. My new goal is to be 195 by May. That's my new goal. So let's see how I can do at hitting 195 by May. But in order to know if I hit my goal, you're going to need to subscribe. And I think you should turn that notification bell on so that you know whenever I post. The past few weeks I've been covering Naturally Slim at the very beginning of the video, and today I moved it over to the end of the video, and I just kind of wanted to gloss over those topics that they talked about. So they talked about nutrition, metabolism, consistency, flirt foods, and sleep. When they talked about nutrition, it was really in a general, vague sense. There wasn't anything that I could tell you that you don't already know. Same thing about metabolism. It's not anything that you don't already know. But I did want to talk about consistency. So they were talking about exercise and consistency. It's really important that we are consistent. And the best way to stay consistent with our exercise is to just do some form of exercise every single day. Now, every day you're not going to feel like giving it your all, so it's good on those days to at least have some form of like little exercise that you can do. If you can only go for a walk around the block, that's great. Maybe normally you would go for a run, but on this day you just don't feel it. But at least carve out that time and do something every single day. There's all kinds of exercises. There's all different intensity levels that we can do. But if we just make it a routine and make sure that every single day we carve out some time for our exercise, it'll really be beneficial to us. The next thing that I kind of wanted to talk about was flirt foods. So flirt foods are those impulse buys that you see at the grocery store. So, you know, they're strategically placed at the end caps of aisles, also along the checkout line. And they're just things that, you know, normally they're probably not on your grocery list, but you see them and you just pick them up anyway. It's these tiny little temptations that we just kind of automatically grab. And all they wanted to say was be aware of these things. Normally, whenever we see them, we want them, we're all excited about it, but if you wait 5-10 minutes, you're going to forget about that food anyway. And they talked about how there's a difference between a flirt food and a craving. So a flirt food, you see it, you want it, but you don't have it, but it goes away after 5-10 minutes. A craving is normally something that stays with you. So maybe you're craving a hamburger. You don't have the hamburger because it's not on your plan for the day, or it doesn't fit in your caloric range, or whatever the reason is that you don't have the hamburger, but the next day you're still like, man, I really want a hamburger. And you don't have it that day either. Like, it sticks with you. It's a craving. It's like, man, if I could just get that hamburger. So cravings and flirt foods are a little bit different. Flirt foods, it's one of those things where you just want to surf the urge. It's going to go away. But a craving is something where you might want to, have that food or find a nice supplemental food. So maybe you want some ice cream. Maybe you find some locale ice cream or some ice cream that's more geared to whatever kind of eating plan that you're following. And the last thing they talked about was sleep and how important sleep is. Sleep affects so many of our cognitive responses, our ability to make decisions. So if we're not getting good sleep, it could lead to bad decisions in choosing exercise, the foods that we eat, the work that we do, how we show up for the day. So if you're not getting good sleep, I would highly encourage that you try and focus on asking yourself, how can I improve my sleep? If you made it to the end of this video, I am so thankful that you did. Don't forget to click that like button. This is all I have for you today. I will see you guys in the next video. As always, it's going to be an adventure.